Okay. Without further ado, welcome everyone. I'm Jennifer Eash. I'm your host. Thank you for joining us today for this interactive and engaging webinar. We are honored to further the National Qigong Association's mission of promoting Qigong and its core values within the veteran community. During this session, we will provide comprehensive insights into the NQA's newly launched VA credentialing program. We will discuss how we support your journey to becoming a network provider for the VA's Tai Chi program and how we will guide you through the steps to achieve network provider credentials. Following this, we will remain open to answer any questions you have. And as a reminder, we will be recording this session and we will be keeping you muted until we open the floor for questions. So again, welcome and thank you, everyone. To open the session, please allow me to introduce our esteemed guest, retired United States Marine Corps veteran, Lieutenant Colonel Felix M. Bush. Lieutenant Colonel Bush brings a wealth of experience and insights to our discussion today as he shares his journey with the VA Tai Chi program. We are deeply honored to have him join us, and I invite Lieutenant Colonel Bush to share a brief introduction about yourself and just tell us more about your experience. So again, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate this. And I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to speak about the Tai Chi program and my involvement with it through the VA Community Care Program. Short bio about myself. I'm a 22-year Marine Corps veteran, served as an infantry officer and a logistics officer, and I served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm back in the early 90s. Also stationed at Camp Lejeune, Camp Pendleton, Okinawa, Guam, Hawaii, at the Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany, and I finished my career at Headquarters Marine Corps and retired in 1998 as a lieutenant colonel. I've been involved with the VA Community Care Tai Chi program for approximately 5 years, mostly with Clayton Crosley. The benefits I've received using this program is greater flexibility and a decrease in relief of pain from using the various positions. I especially appreciate the way that Clayton initially taught me. He explained not only the exercise, but then he pointed out specifically how the exercise would affect the body through the pathways and nerves. And after each session, I would feel a warmth and tingling sensation throughout my extremities, as well as my core, my chest and my abdomen. Clayton would ask questions of each participant of their specific needs and could tailor his sessions and movement to address those specific concerns. My overall experience with Tai Chi in general and with Clayton has been extremely positive. I recommend it to other vets and have done so in the past. Now, from a personal experience, I'm 100% disabled vet because of osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease in the neck and lower back, and radiopathy from the neck, shoulders, down through both arms, which causes a lot of numbness in my fingers and my hands. Tai Chi has been helpful in that it relieves some of the pressure and pain in those shoulders and neck and the lower back. I've had 5 surgeries since last October, to include a hip replacement in April. I have 2 knee replacements scheduled. The next one is in August. Tai Chi has been invaluable to me in keeping my mobility and flexibility around to allow me to maintain an independent lifestyle. I've been on a cane, a walker, a scooter, and at this point, I no longer need any of those things, mostly because maybe the hip, but I think that Tai Chi has really helped me with my balance because I was really having balance issues. I believe you get out what you actually put into something. Clayton has been a great instructor for me. I've had other VA Tai Chi instructors who were not as informative and not as instructive. So I believe the vetting process of these people to ensure a quality program to vets is absolutely necessary. Clayton certainly provided this to me and has become a good friend because of it. Again, I thank you for your opportunity to speak. I don't know if you have any questions for me at this time, but I'm willing to take them.
Thank you so very much, Lieutenant Colonel Bush, for sharing your experience with us. We truly appreciate it. At the end of the meeting, we're going to open the floor for questions. So, if you're able to
Roger.
stay around, all right. Thank you so
Sure.
much, sir. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So now, please allow me to introduce our distinguished panel of VA community network providers for the Tai Chi program. And that includes Judy Chansey, who is the secretary for the NQA, Carrie Ruiz, who's a board member, myself, and Clayton Crossley, who is also an Army veteran, president and board member of the NQA. Clayton, I'm handing the meeting over to you to discuss the overview and details of the program.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm going to start today by saying that the NQA is not the credentialing authority. That is solely the responsibility and determination of Tri-West Healthcare Alliance. The NQA is going to give you the opportunity, but cannot guarantee the outcome. There is going to be a lot of information that we will share, and it might feel a bit overwhelming. Rest assured that the NQA has tried to create comprehensive resources to guide you through the credentialing process. Tri-West Healthcare Alliance is the third-party administrator for regions 4, 5, and 6. It is their responsibility to provide the Veterans Administration with qualified healthcare providers in all specialties. Tai Chi and Qigong is one of the complementary integrative health services that are offered by the VA, hence the need for more providers. There are 16.2 million veterans in the United States. There are 172 VA medical centers and 1,138 community-based outpatient clinics. The NQA has the system-specific expertise to help you navigate this complicated process. The NQA has established a Veteran Support Committee that will provide ongoing assistance and guidance. The NQA will conduct regular meetings where the providers and potential applicants can bring their successes, struggles, and questions to the group for support. This program has used the combined experience of 20 teachers with an average experience of 5 years. All this being said, let's delve deeper into the processes. Okay. I'm going to be doing some screen sharing here. Let me hide the panel of the participants so I can see a little better. So the VA Community Care Network is comprised of qualified healthcare providers. Tri-West needs more providers. And inside of the NQA website, hold this up. I'm going to now share my screen. And if you are an NQA member, this is what you want to look for. So when you go to nqa.org, we have the member login. If you have not signed up, you can sign up. And these resources I'm about to show are only available to professional level and practitioner level members. So your membership level does allow you to have access to it. The reason for the professional and practitioner level membership is the VA requires a minimum of 100 hours of training to work with veterans. So I'm just going to log in here. It's going to take me into a different website, which is called the Info Hub. Come on. There we go. So this is the screen when you come into the Info Hub. And we have created some comprehensive resources. So on the left-hand side, you'll see that panel. And where it says resources, you click on that. And right here, we have the VA Credentialing Program. So we have a credentialing guide. And inside of here, you're going to find the necessary videos that we have created. So the very first step in this program is to establish a national provider identification number. So you will follow the video instructions on within this step 1 video, and that will create your national provider identification number. The next step is to create an account with the Train Learning Network. I'm going to switch to a different tab, and I'm going to show you what the training network looks like. Give me one moment. So this is the login page. I'm hoping everyone can see this. And Jennifer, if I switch to something you can't see it, please let me know. This is the network that you have to do some e-learning on. One of these courses that you need to take here is called the Health Share Referral Manager course. That is the VA platform that allows you to receive referrals for medical care, also to put in your notes, appointments, and even upload files if so required. So I'm going to log in here. So once you created your train account, this is kind of the process you go through real quick. Inside of here, it's going to take you, and notice I went to Train Georgia. When you set up your train account, it's going to take you to your own local area, whether that's Colorado, California, wherever that might be. But inside of here is course catalog, and we want to search the train.org, and this is all in the video, and I'm just briefly going to touch on this so you guys can see it, how easy it is to navigate. We type in HSRM, which stands for Health Share Referral Manager course, and up comes the Health Share Referral Manager course. And the one that everyone wants to take is the Health Share Referral Manager training course. Inside of here, as you scroll down, let me find the slide bar. There we go. It tells you when the sessions come up. So you sign up for the session. It's really that simple. All right, I'm going to go back to the Resources tab. Inside of the Resources tab, step 3 is to create an Availity account. Availity is what is called the Electronic Data Interchange site. That is the site that allows you to process claims and receive payment for. So you'll have to also follow through with step 3. There is one other site that you'll need to also set up, which is creating an ID.me account. And I unfortunately could not create a video for ID.me. And that is because I already had an account. Let me go back, so I didn't tell you where I was going. So in here, under Helpful Resources, in this tab, in here, I have a professional services agreement, which is an example of the document that you'll receive from TriWest. You'll receive that document from them. I also have a TriWest provider application example. Probably more importantly here, though, is we have a copy of the actual documents that you would receive from the VA. I've redacted these copies. And you can kind of scroll down and take a look, but it gives you an idea of what type of paperwork you're going to be looking at from the VA. Go back and just briefly show you what the cover page of the VHA medical documentation looks like. And it's also been redacted, but it gives you an idea. All right, so let me quit sharing for a second, and then let me talk a little bit more about the program. All right, all of these systems have to talk to each other. So the first step is that MPI number. Then for you to be able to talk to the VA, you need to complete the Health Share Referral Manager course. For you to be able to process claims, you have to have the Availity account set up. For you to be able to access the VHA's website, which is the HSRM account that you'll be creating, you have to have a multi-factor authentication set up. That is the ID.me. So you'll need to go into, and this is the one thing that I do not have a resource for, you'll have to go into ID.me and create yourself an account for your multi-factor authentication. Because when you log into the VA system, it will want to send you a 6-digit code that allows you to access the VA system. As far as all of these systems talking together, I know it seems complicated, but they do. Not every system talks to every other system. So TriWest, for instance, doesn't actually communicate with the VA except through the HSRM. Also, providers only contact the VA through HSRM. And this this program and navigating through it can seem daunting, but we'll give you all the resources that you need. A couple of things are quite important, though, I think, in making a provider or the best prepared provider that we can provide to the veterans community. In addition to the Health Share Referral Manager course, there are 3 courses that are also online at the train.org website. And the first one is called PTSD-Military Culture. It has 4 videos that are about from 10 to 13 minutes apiece, and then 1 video on there that is 43 minutes long. The reason the NQA feels that this is an important course for you to take is if you've never dealt with military culture before, this will give you an understanding of their beliefs, their core values, their ethics, also the hierarchy structure that they've experienced while serving in the service. We think it's important for you to be able to understand the veteran because you've got to meet them on the road where they're at, not where you're at. We feel that that's very important. Also, there is a whole health suicide prevention course on that website as well that you can also take. And then there is one that is called Psychological First Aid Kit, Building Resiliency. We feel that these 3 courses will better equip you as a provider in working with the veterans. So upon completion of those 3 courses, we will then give you the point of contact at TriWest so you can directly interface with them. We will not be your middleman. You'll directly communicate with TriWest and begin the credentialing process. And we've created those documents, the application and the original services agreement, so you can make sure that you're doing things correctly. And there is no fee from the NQA for this ongoing support. This is part of your membership level, whether that be practitioner or professional. And I think that that's a really good overview of kind of the systems and processes that need to be in place. And I probably was talking fast, but I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions as a result. So if you want to take over, Jen.
Yes, I thank you so much, Clayton. I'm going to bring our panel people in here. We're going to start to take some questions from you guys, and how you can do that, you can raise your hand. There's a raise hand icon and it'll put you in order in the queue. Another way is that you can add your question to the chat box. So those are 2 ways you can ask questions. And so now if you'd like to submit a question, we are happy to answer them. Okay, so I see a question from Dan. Please go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. Can you please repeat what level of membership gives us access to those resources?
Practitioner and professional.
Thank you. And for someone who already has an NPI as a physical therapist, do I just skip that portion and move on to the next one?
You will need to add the additional taxonomy that is shown in the instructional video.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, hold on 1 second here. And we got another one here from Martha. Hi, Martha. You can go ahead. And I think you're going to have to unmute yourself. You'll have to unmute yourself. Let's see here. See if I can help you out with that.
I got it.
Oh, good. There you go.
I got it. Yeah,
Awesome.
I was going to ask the MPI because I'm also a physical therapist. So that makes sense. Add the taxonomy. Second question I have is actually, I already work with veterans through the outpatient vet program, but I do it free. So is this service going to be billing for individual people to come for Tai Chi instruction, Qigong, medical Qigong? What services are you actually providing?
So when a referral is issued by the VA, it is 30 visits that the veteran is entitled to, and you have an entire year to use those visits. To be clear, you
Okay.
cannot charge for services that you're providing inside of a VA. Like you, I'm also a VA volunteer with just around 2,000 hours of volunteer service. So
Yeah.
I can't, and plus, if you're volunteering, most likely they won't have a referral for medical care.
Mhm.
So,
But these would be people. I'm just wondering, like for instance, okay, I have my own place.
Yeah.
And these would be people that are given 30 visits and they can attend a class
Correct.
with that. Okay, I got you. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so she brings up a good question, Jennifer. So I'm just going to briefly share my screen again. The easiest way to get a veteran to get services is for them to ask for it specifically. There's not many VAs out there that are doing what I'll consider doctor-driven referrals. And we will put this up in those resources this week, but this right here has been fine-tuned over the years. And the veterans, most of the veterans are on a service called My Healthy Vet, where they can communicate directly with their physician.
Mm-hmm.
And this specific language, not that we have to tell the VA how to do their job, we kind of sometimes need to gently nudge them in that right direction. And this is the language that we have found that is most effective. And we'll create this language for you. And obviously where it says insert your name and NPI number, and this last sentence being all, optional. This has proven to be very effective. And one of the good things about the My Healthy Vet platform is by federal law, the VA has to respond to the veteran within 72 hours.
Yes.
It also creates a paper trail, and that's very important. So if they're denied care, or they're sometimes the VA can be quite slow in providing care. This is very useful. We will put this in the resources tab. It's just not there yet. So I'm going to quit sharing and we can go back to questions.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Clayton, somebody in the chat asked to please repeat the 3 recommended courses.
That is in the resources tabs, that is step 1, establishing an NPI number. And you'll get to the taxonomy part where you select your taxonomy, and that will give you the additional taxonomy to add to your current NPI registry.
Can I add?
Right.
Can I add to that question? You mentioned the courses PTSD, whole health, suicide prevention, and the third one I missed.
Psychological first aid, building resiliency.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Linda, you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm wondering, I live in California. Is this a training I could take in California and work with veterans here in the state?
Yeah, so this is open to everyone who's in regions 4, 5, and 6. Carrie, do you happen to have a map pulled up by any chance? It's showing the regions.
It's also on the website too, if you go to the credentialing page.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on yeah, so that's
Okay, thanks.
yeah.
I believe California's covered in that though.
It
All the
is.
West Coast, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, region 4 is everything west of the Rockies to include Texas.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Linda, for your question. All right. And then we have a question in the chat from Ruth. Ruth, I have your question here. I'm also someone who already has an NPI. What video were you referring to related to adding another taxonomy? And if you have also an additional question, please go ahead.
Oh, my additional question is that the concern that I would have doing Tai Chi with veterans is if someone has a medical condition or that I'm not informed about, I would of course want to first do no harm. So what are the options like for asking questions? Would the physician already have included that in the referral, etc.?
Great question. I'll share my experience, and then maybe it'd be nice to have some of the other panelists also share their experience as well. So the veteran is given this service for a specific medical condition. Those range from all sorts of things: lower back pain, fibromyalgia, PTSD, depression. I mean, anything that's in the ICD-10 code manual, they can be issued a referral for. So you'll have what's called a provisional diagnosis code in that paperwork, and you can look inside those resources on the info hub, and you can kind of see an example there. And you'll also see an example of the VHA medical documentation, which also has a list of the current medication. And if you read through the notes, you'll gain a little bit more medical history. But for me personally, as a provider, I always meet with the veteran individually first, because I don't receive their entire medical record, and I have a conversation with them. And that conversation kind of then dictates the treatment that I'm able to provide. So if someone else would like to weigh in.
I would give the advice that you had given me, Clayton, before, which is people tell you what's most important to them. So just having an open, just ask them, their goals with Tai Chi, and they'll tell you what their goals are, and they'll tell you what's important to them as well.
There's a lot of information in that VHA medical document, and I find it very valuable to read through it. It will give you your veteran's health history, but like Clayton and Jennifer, that first meeting for me is always one-on-one. I ask, do you have joint restrictions, movement restrictions? And one question will lead to another, and 99% of the time, the veteran will elaborate on what brought them to the Tai Chi Qigong referral. And then you'll have a very good sense of where to go from there.
Yeah, and
Very
I'll
well
echo.
put. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for me, it's that onboarding meeting where you create that safe environment. Um, you discuss it with them, and you review your documents in advance. And I always go by the 70% rule. We learn, right? 70% of your capacity, and then be yourself and go from there. So you will be provided with the documentation that make you feel a lot more comfortable with what you're going to be doing. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Very helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have questions coming into the chat. So first, Clayton, could you clarify once again if teaching Qigong and Tai Chi is a volunteer work or if it's compensation?
So I have dual hats. I think I'm putting one more thing in the chat that someone wanted to know. So you can volunteer if you like, but there is no compensation, hence the term volunteer. This is as a paid community care provider. So there are two distinct separate fields. So I still volunteer at the VA. I volunteer on a Monday, and I go to Savannah and I teach a class there, which is kind of an adaptive class for people who have limited mobility. And I drive to another VA on Fridays, and I teach a class there. But those are separate and not part of the work I do as a VA community care network.
Okay, and I have a question for Lieutenant Colonel Bush. What would you say, as being a veteran, is the most important thing a provider can do for you when they get to know you? Because there seems to be a lot of questions about how do we engage, how do we interact, how do we start the whole process. From your experience, what would you say is most important? Since you're on the other side of the fence with this, so to speak. Oh, and you're muted too, sir. You're muted. There we
I
go.
remember okay. I remember the first time Clayton and I met, and it was very informative because I've taken some throughout my career, some martial art classes and things like that. So he gave me a background of Tai Chi, Qigong, and how that was a predecessor of a lot of the martial arts that you study today. Then we started talking about the personal, as Judy had mentioned, the movement restrictions and the issues that the vet has. I was telling him a number of balance issues that I was having, especially on the right side, the radiopathy that I was having, the numbness, the tingling, both down the leg as well as the arms and the hands, becoming very numb. And so he was able to explain some of the benefits of what Qigong and Tai Chi could do as far as opening up some of those pathways to help not only relieve any of the pain, but also open up those neurons to start going in there and start firing a little bit better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we have a question from Karen Vanessa. I'm going to highlight you here. Would you like to ask your quotes? Remove pin. Okay. It won't let me highlight you, but if you'd like to ask your question to us.
Oops. Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much. Oops. Sorry. Got my camera turned around.
Okay,
So
here you
I
are.
guess I'm not clear on how we actually can get referrals or work proactively. Can we proactively reach out once we're approved as a provider to our local VA centers or other facilities? And does TriWest or do they put us on a list of approved providers so that folks know we're available for referrals or to provide these services? How does that work?
So there's an internal system that is used nationally called the PPMS system, Preferred Provider Management System. Anyone, doesn't matter what the specialty is, who is approved as a VA Community Care Network provider, all of their data is input into the PPMS system. So any VA anywhere is able to find you based upon your taxonomy and your NPI number. Your NPI number is kind of the key. So based upon your taxonomy and the NPI number, they will be able to find you inside of the PPMS system as a referral. That's why that language that I briefly showed you is very useful, because that directs the referral to you directly by your NPI number, because that's the way they'll be able to find you in the PPMS system. As far as approaching the VA specifically, that is a no from TriWest. That is considered solicitation.
Okay.
However, like I said in the beginning, there's what I say, 18.2 million veterans in the United States. Everybody knows a veteran. You may not think you do, but everybody does. And the best way to make and here's another thing. It's actually a good thing you brought this up, Karen. Part of the problem is that the VA is the largest healthcare organization in the United States, responsible for more than any other private insurance company. Not every VA is actually aware of that they have this available as a community care network option. That's why the more providers we put into the system, the more veterans we get to ask for the services, the more likely that this then goes from a veteran-driven referral process to a doctor-driven referral process. And that's why that consult language is key. Excuse me. And the other thing is we found out through trial and error over the last 5 years is the ordering system that the physician uses inside of the VA. It's called the CPRS system. And the doctors think that everything in there is alphabetical. So one of the huge things that we found out was that actually Tai Chi, they'd be looking for Tai Chi and they'd be looking under T, but it's not listed under T. It's listed under Complementary Integrative Health Services -Tai Chi. But it took us, a couple of months of figuring out where that was in the system. But that's why that consult language is so specific. It gently guides them through their own specific systems to find the service. And for the record, just so everybody knows, the very first Tai Chi referral in the entire nation was mine. With a different provider, Kevin Borgstedt, we were trying to figure this out. And I said, well, I'll go ask my provider for it. And my provider couldn't find it. So, we had to kind of figure out that missing piece. We found a lot of missing pieces over the years, but we know this really well. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. So I know you are working, NQA is working with the VA, right, to try to increase that awareness, probably to make it more doctor-driven referrals. But so we're not able to provide any helpful information to local VAs or anything on Tai Chi or Qigong or anything like that.
I would probably look for veteran service organizations like the American Legion, the VFW, Veterans of Foreign War. There's all these other NGOs, Red, White, and Blue, I think is one organization, Wounded Warriors. I'll actually, you know what, Karen, this is a great question for Kerry Ruiz, who has done just a ton of community outreach in his areas.
Yeah, word of mouth is amazing. And coming from a corporate training background, I understand that organizations are always looking for great content. So guest speaking opportunities about the benefits of Tai Chi. And what that does is it opens up so many doors for people referring you to other situations. I recently got involved in a corporate environment through veteran service groups. So this particular company had a wellness program, and they didn't, they weren't too open to bringing in another wellness program, but they said, hey, let me get you in touch with a veteran service group within our corporation. They reached out to me, and they have a veteran group. And then it just like wildfire, it's just spread. So there's so many opportunities for finding veterans within the community through word of mouth. And yeah, that it just it's a wonderful opportunity because it's such a great service, and it opens it up pretty easily.
Yeah, and then sorry to hog it, final question, but we're limited to teaching Qigong and Tai Chi, any kind of medical Qigong treatments. Is that out of bounds?
It's not out of bounds. I do some medical Qigong, Qi admission treatments, balancing of dantians, looking at the energy inside of the 12, organ meridians and clearing blockages and things. You as a provider are completely within your own purview to provide that treatment as you see fit. So it's just like the VA doesn't dictate to a doctor, all right, hey, you can only give them, this course of treatment when there's other options available.
Okay, great. All right, super. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your question, Karen. We appreciate it. Oops. Sorry, guys. I'm not always the best at this.
I did see one question in the chat. Someone had asked, are they building 15-minute intervals? So they're building number of units. That's one thing we haven't really been able to figure out, what TriWest considers to be a unit. I can tell you on average that the majority of the people are doing anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, but it's still just one unit. It's not like physical therapy that's built in the 15-minute increments. And so one unit is billed per session.
Yeah, whether you do 15 to an hour, it's just per session. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Martha, you can go ahead.
Okay, it's me again. Is there a CPT code that you bill?
There is.
Do you know what it is?
I do.
Can you tell me what it is? And I can tell you.
Well, you have to ask the question correctly, Martha.
Okay. Because the CPT codes, the only reason I'm saying that is because the CPT codes are identified by whether they are a timed or untimed code.
Not
and
this. So this code. So not. Okay. I understand what you're saying. So what she's referring to is a CPT code is a medical billing code that is nationalized and standardized by Medicare and Medicaid services. This particular code is not. This particular code is actually comes from the VA specifically, and Medicare and Medicaid don't cover this specific code, but the VA does. And the VA then uses that code to, with the third-party administrator through TriWest to render your payment. The code is S9454,
Okay.
relaxation therapy.
Okay.
Because there is not an actual CPT code or CMS code for Tai Chi or Qigong specifically. So the VA said that this falls underneath this category.
Gotcha. Okay, now my next question is, I've worked with both TriWest and Availity in the therapy world. What has your experience been on getting the payment?
I get direct deposit in about 3 to 5 days, most often 5.
That's excellent. Okay. Once you get in the system of TriWest. Yeah. Okay.
Judy's going to add something.
I believe that with Availity, they mail the first 2 checks to you. They need to be deposited and cleared, and then you're given the opportunity for direct deposit. Is that right, Clayton? I think you went a little bit different than.
That is correct. You have to receive 2 paper checks, 2 separate payments before Availity will allow you to sign up for direct deposit. I'm going to put someone just saw in the chat, I'm going to put the CPT code, which isn't really a CPT code, in the chat for everyone. You'll also see this CPT code in the training video that will be probably put up this week on how to do claims processing using the Availity platform. So if you don't remember it, it will be available as a resource inside of the resources tab of your membership info hub.
Okay, I have another question. I'm already registered with Availity. This is from Ruth again. Is there something I need to add related to that system as well as NPI?
I believe inside of Manage My Organization, you can add the additional taxonomy, Ruth, which you'll find in that step 1. And that should be all that you need to do. I think that for people who are already using the Availity system, because this is VA specific, it's actually probably going to require you to enter less information to process a claim. So if you go through, when we have the new resource up for you on showing you how to do the Availity's claim process, you'll be able to take a look at that. It's actually not that complicated. It's pretty easy.
Well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in through the chat. I did try to kind of coordinate. Some of you were able to speak with Clayton, and in addition to the questions. So if there's any questions that were not answered, we still have a couple more minutes that we can take a few more questions. But okay, it's Ruth. There we go, my dear. Ruth, you can go ahead, and I'm gonna.
Okay, I know I'm asking a lot of questions, but I'm just really interested in, like, for those of you who have been doing this, if there's anything about the experience, that was surprising for you, or that you think us newbies should kind of know about coming into this experience.
I'll defer to one of the other panel members.
Well, I'll start. I think it's just I truly personally feel it's just a blessing to be able to do this. I like to serve the community. I like working with people. My husband is active duty Army, and I just understand the culture from one side, and then I understand the stress of the job and what's required of it. And I'm thankful to be able to help people rest their nervous system a little bit. So I just it's just a wonderful experience if you love our service members. I think that there's nothing more rewarding, in my opinion. Go ahead, sir.
From my perspective, as a user, and then having several participants in Clayton's class, having 3 or 4 different people in there, we kind of share our experiences. I have PTSD. There's another member that has really been suffering through PTSD, and just being able to open up and share that in a what I consider really safe and enclosed environment has been really, I think it's been really helpful.
I'll just add to Matt's comment. And this may actually, and this is one of the things that unfortunately I don't think we can get the VA to really see, but in the smaller groups that we have, there is, if you will, this reconstitution of that purpose of mission. It's not militarily related, it's more self-healing related, and they do get close. And Colonel Bush and I recently in December had a super funny guy, really engaging, who passed away suddenly, that, you know, and so there's, you know, there's even loss, and but there's this esprit de corps, the spirit of the group, that I think is probably maybe even more therapeutic than actually following instruction, breathing right, and doing the movements. I saw Carrie was going to say something.
Yeah, I see a question popped up. Is it held Zoom or in person? I do both. So I'm in Louisiana. I have veterans all over the country, but I also have a studio here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the friendships I've formed, I harken back to what Colonel Bush said earlier at the beginning. He said, he was telling his story, but he said, Clayton and I became friends. And that is something I look around me at the different groups that I meet with each week. And I go, man, I have a room full of mentors that they have no clue the impact they're having on me as a trainer. And one of my veterans says, this is my weekly counseling session. So we meet in the back, we do our Tai Chi. Then all these guys that used to be strangers are friends now. We go to the front, we have our hot tea, we sit down on our couch and we talk for 30 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. But it's become more than just a session. It's become a friendship. And I can't say how much it's changed my life.
Well said, Carrie.
If we have time, I'll add a little bit. Are we good? You get up in the morning and you show up. And you might show up with a script or with a mindset of what's going to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen because something takes place that's greater than who and what we are individually. Along the way, like Clayton, Jennifer, and Carrie have said, you do develop relationships. More than that, an element of trust is developed. And if you live with PTSD like I do, that is a major hole in my being. What we're offering, and in a lot of cases, this becomes the greatest tool in their life management toolbox. It's one that will go on and on and on. And I think that's something else that the VA has yet to wrap its brain around, but it's a good start, and I'm grateful for that. I think that's really what I wanted to share. It will impact your life as much as the skills that you bring will impact other people's lives.
Yeah. And keep in mind that you are going to see this person more often than they see their primary healthcare provider. You know, as a veteran, I see my PCP because I don't require a whole lot of medical care. You know, 2 or 3 times a year. You're going to see this person 30 times. That's a lot. And it's a lot of time you end up spending with each other.
Okay, and there's a question in the chat. Can we work with a couple or an entire family if other family members want to join? I have personally allowed spouses to join. Sometimes that's very motivating as well. I have no problem with it as long as the veteran's okay with it. It's for them. So whatever they decide is best for them, I'm fine with. If they want their spouse or partner or whomever to join, I'm totally okay with it. How about the rest of you guys?
I do the same.
Yeah.
Same.
And
Same.
oh, and then how about is it okay to alternate the practice from one-on-one to a small group connected community depending on individual needs? That's another question we have.
Yeah, I have both. I have some people who are uncomfortable in being in a group environment, and I respect that. And so I work with them individually. I have other people because of physical or mental challenges that I work with individually. But I do try to encourage people to work their way from individual sessions to group sessions, because I've seen how valuable, as Matt or as Colonel Bush said, that I've seen the value of the group dynamic.
Yeah, and you were talking about individual needs as well. You're going to see the results of people's having served. So, for example, people with lung cancer or Parkinson's because of exposure to Agent Orange, for example. So, you're going to see a lot of different things, not just hip issues or knee issues and stuff like that. So, those situations you're going to probably want to work one on one because you'll have to really tailor the session for them.
And I'll try to get a feel in that initial session. I'll interview and talk with the veteran and say, you're introverted or extroverted. I get a good feel for, creating that safe environment initially. So initially they may say, hey, I want to get comfortable with the process and the movements, and then I'll join a group in a month or so. So it's really all about the veteran, and just having that open conversation and making sure that we create something that they look forward to. I think the greatest compliment I ever got is I had a veteran tell me he was sitting talking to my wife last night. And he said, I was saying, normally I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, or oh God, I got to do this tomorrow. And he said, I looked at my wife and I said, I got Tai Chi tomorrow, And so I love that. So getting a good feel just through conversation, you'll learn whether they want to do it in group or in small session or one-on-one.
I often like to start a veteran, maybe the first few sessions one-on-one, and let them know in the beginning, if you want to move to a group, I have options, and they'll let you know.
Wonderful. Dan, you have your hand raised. Thank you for your patience. Yeah.
Thank you. I have a logistics question related to the need for a certain number of hours, in order to qualify. How does that get documented? Because a lot of the classes I've taken as an instructor and the certificates, they have dates but not actual hours. So I guess it's 100 hours that are required. How does that get documented for this purpose?
So a couple of things. When you get to the application portion of the Tri-West application, there's an entire list where you put there. And a lot of times it is just dates with no hours. Sometimes they're looking at length of experience. The 100 and 150 hours is a requirement that the NQA is trying to follow, because that is the standard for VA in-house practitioners. So we wanted to at least meet the current government requirement. I've never been told by Tri-West what that requirement is. I would imagine that they are also mirroring, because I don't work at Tri-West. I would imagine that they are mirroring what's currently enacted already inside of the VA. So just real quick, and this brings me to another point, Dan. We might run a little bit long, but I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let me find this other thing. All right, so inside So one of the problems when you're going through the application process with TriWest is they don't know the difference. The people looking at your paperwork do not know the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong. Even though we've tried to explain it to them, they're like, well, is it Tai Chi? And you go, yeah. And they go, but then why do you call it Qigong? It's like, why are you calling Ayurvedic practices and not calling it yoga? We know they're the same. But I just want to make the distinction that the VA does not make a distinction between the two. So here you'll look, this is actually a draft copy for in-house. This is a document that I've received from the VA, from a friend of mine. But if you look right here, everywhere it says Tai Chi, it says hyphen Qigong. So on your application to TriWest, everywhere that you write Qigong, be sure to put hyphen Tai Chi or Tai Chi hyphen Qigong, because that way they'll go, oh, we need to make that distinction for them. I know it's just wordplay. It really is. But inside the VA, it's the same. They don't distinguish. You can go to any of the VA websites and you can put in Tai Chi Qigong and you'll find that everywhere you see that, it will say the same. But here is what they required for education inside the VA, 150 hours of formal Tai Chi or Qigong instruction. And it may include 50 hours of supervised instruction at any time spent in a formal education program leading to certification. But this is kind of just their standard. If you don't have the number of hours, I think just like a 5-year work history or just a work history in general that shows, X number of years. And you might need to estimate those number of hours for TriWest and come to that determination. So, I mean, there's some of these people here, I'm sure in this group have been doing this for decades even, so, you didn't go and count up how many times you were training because you never thought you'd need to know. So I don't know if that really answers the question fully, Dan, but I hope that gives a little more guidance. Thanks.
All right, everyone. We're coming up on the hour here. So I just thanks again, everyone, for joining us. If you have additional questions, I just put in the chat. Oops, I thought I did. Let me hit send. Okay, in the chat, how to reach out to us via email. And then, as Clayton already said, this is already available to NQA professional and practitioner member levels. So you can, as you demonstrated before, you can access the everything in your resources folder in the back office. Just make sure you have created your login, which you can do on the main page. If you are a general member, you can upgrade your membership level as well. So again, just reach out to us about that, to practitioner or professional member. And if you are would like to join the NQA and continue to receive support, we're going to continue providing ongoing support for this program as well. So that's all available to you there. And so thank you everyone for joining us today. And does anyone else have anything additional they'd like to say?
Thanks, Colonel Bush.
There's one.
Yes, thank you for our esteemed guests, of course. Yes.
There's one more question, about training or teaching hours in chat. Do you need 100 to 150 training hours?
Training.
Okay.
Training.
And I just wanted to thank the panel. You're very, very informative and inspiring, and I'm really happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Paris. We appreciate that. Thank you, Paris. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. Have a blessed day, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.